Hi guys, it's me again, your host for this evening. Today I have a very special guest. I'm doing another interview, and it is with someone who is sort of an expert on the matters pertaining to, like topics relating to our group. So, for instance, for example, first of all, this group is called AMBW, Love Original Channel, Content Channel. We deal a lot with dating and relationships, mostly with like interracial between Asian men and Black women, but obviously this advice can be dispensed to anybody dating in, whether dating or like in a relationship or marriage or whatever. And today I have special guest with me, dating coach and a relationship expert, Julie Wadley. And
Hi, how are you?
thank you very much for joining us again today. Julie, sorry, yeah, if you don't mind me calling that or
Sure.
thank you, sorry, not to sound too informal here. But yeah, so first of all, why don't you talk about yourself, your services, and what you do, a little bit about your background and all that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I am a matchmaker and a relationship coach, life dating and relationship coach, and I own a business here in the states, Charlotte, North Carolina, titled Eli Simone, and I focus primarily on Black women. I have been in business for about 7 years, helping Black women throughout all the kind of relationship cycles, right? Going from never dated, don't know what I'm doing, what I'm looking for, to I'm divorced and getting back into the dating cycle. Just helping women get from one point A to point B.
Right, exactly. And so obviously dating is probably one of the most popular topics like in the universe.
Yeah,
Um
it's very
right.
universal.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. And I know in our group that we have a lot of women watching,
Mhm.
and it is mostly Black women, which is a big reason why I contacted you, because I wanted to, uh, also, basically just sort of discuss, matters of the heart and get some professional advice.
Yeah.
So here we go. So for me personally, I know that yeah, just from personal experience, that dating is very hard. When I first started out, I don't know, like almost 10 years ago or so, I actually started out first doing like the online dating scene. And obviously back then I was very naive, very inexperienced. I didn't know anything. I made a lot of mistakes. I met I met a lot of different people, different personalities and whatnot, all walks of life. But one thing that struck to me, and sorry, I'm trying not to get too far tangent here, but I promise this has to do with the topic at hand. So one thing that struck me is that a lot of women that I met were like, around that time were around my age. So like 25, 24-ish, a little bit younger, around like early 20s or so. But a lot of young women, I was trying to get your opinion on this. A lot of young women, in my opinion, uh, did not know what they wanted. And
Mm.
and and I do not want to make this too controversial or anything like that. I'm not trying to throw shade or disrespect anyone here. It's just from my personal experiences. But so personally, okay, so obviously I'm not a woman, you know what I mean, and I'm not a Black woman, but
Mhm.
I am an Asian man. And so but yeah, so from my experiences, with these women and with these young women, like I don't know if it's a coincidence or ironic or not, but they all ended up with one type of guy,
Mm.
and obviously that guy was not me. And you know what I mean? That guy was not me, but they all ended up with the same type of guy. And this actually came after them telling me that they wanted to end things with me because they just weren't ready for a relationship. They
Mm.
were not looking for a relationship. They wanted to work on themselves. And then, a week or two later, I see, on the dating profile that they post pictures of themselves with their new man or with their
Mm.
man.
Ouch.
Yeah, so that did burn. But sorry. So yeah, I promise to get to the point here. So basically, so the point here is that they, like I said, like I've been saying, they've all ended up with the same type of guy, tall, white.
Mm.
And I wanted to ask you, because you are, this is what you do for a living. You are a dating relationship expert. I want to ask you, like, just in general, would you consider like tall white males, for the most part, to be a safe choice for a lot of women out there? And if so, why is that the case?
So it depends. I know speaking as a Black woman and for, I'm gonna, say for Black women, most Black women aren't looking for white men.
Mm-hmm.
Most Black women are looking for Black men.
Mm,
But if you're thinking about the majority of the U.S., I mean, and I'm not sure if you're thinking specifically about the U.S. or just globally, but
mm-hmm.
especially in the U.S., white is the majority.
Mm,
So when you're looking at, the prototypical guy that the prototypical American female is looking for, most likely that woman is white, and most likely that man is going to be white. So
mm,
when you're thinking about the ideal person, you're just like, okay, definitely taller, because most women want someone who's
mm-hmm.
taller than them. Goes back to this innate desire to feel protected
Mm-hmm.
and secure. And they're just kind of thinking, okay, well, that's what I'm used to, a white guy.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just kind of, everybody's kind of like looking for center, not
Mm-hmm.
looking at, the fringe or the outliers.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That is interesting. And yeah, thank you very much. Firstly, that was also a question that someone came up with, but I also, well, not really. It was sort of indirectly, but I sort of related to my experience. So something already been sort of on my mind. But thank you for answering that.
Yeah.
So getting back to this now. So I know that in the introduction you did state, your whole, mission statement and purpose, what you do. But I was wondering, like, so in terms of, like appealing, specifically to Black women.
Yeah.
And so I was just wondering, obviously, we're probably gonna have a lot of Black women watching this video, interested in this and curious and whatnot. And so I was wondering what kind of services do you offer to them specifically that would cater to them? How can you benefit to them, and why should they, or how would they benefit from this?
So, if you're looking at the dating space in general, the services, right? Online dating, apps, speed dating,
Mm-hmm.
matchmaking, dating services, all these different types of services that help you with dating, the majority of them are looking for mainstream, or they're
Mm-hmm.
catering to the mainstream. Their commercials and the branding is mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're thinking about the fringe, so someone who's non-white, Black women, there isn't a space particularly for us as
Mm-hmm.
a Black woman. You hardly see Black women being the center of any marketing or any focus when it comes to dating. So we have particular likes, we have particular dislikes. There's a lot of context that we have going on when it comes to dating and what we're looking for that is largely lost when it comes to mainstream dating. So, what I wanted to do when I decided to get into this space was focus primarily on women who looks like me, who had the same experience as me, and say, I understand where you're coming from. I generally know what you're looking for and why you're looking for it. So, let me help you with those goals, knowing the context. A lot of the major or the mainstream dating services are typically catered to white, um, maybe even Asian, maybe Latin American, everybody but Black. And so if no one is catering to this, there's a hole in the market. And so I
Mm-hmm.
decided to fill that.
No, absolutely. And that's kind of, that's definitely what is the saying? Music to my ears. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
I definitely applaud what you're doing. I definitely support what you're doing. As a, person of color myself, as a minority, I definitely feel marginalized.
Yep.
And that's part of the reason why I created, this channel too. For me, the whole AMBW, Asian men, Black women dating scene, that really, I didn't hear about it until a few years ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did not expect it to be so vast. It's very, very big, and sort of caught me off guard. But I can say that in the community, I've definitely made a lot of friends, and definitely met a lot of new people, and definitely look forward to having a lot of new experiences. With yeah, with people, people there. So yeah, thank you very much for explaining that.
Mm-hmm.
And a sort of a topic that has been circulating in my mind, and I've had with a couple of like AMBW community members recently as well, is that, so obviously, yeah, like I've been saying, the AMBW online community is very big. There's a lot of Facebook groups, there's a lot of social media groups, YouTube and whatnot, very popular. However, and again, guys watching this at home, please do not get this twisted. I'm not trying to spin this into a negative thing or negative context. I'm a very positive person. I want to try to keep things that way, but I do want to bring this up. So, and this is, I think it's a really good question that I have for you. So obviously, like I said, it's a very big community online.
Yeah.
But I want to say that compared to how big it is online and how many members you see and all the posts and likes and conversations that people are having online, it like how the number of people that are actually dating, as far as like in the AMBW community, in real life, like literally actually dating as opposed to talking, like pales in comparison to the number of people that are talking about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting. We love to talk about problems. We like to talk about issues. We will, beat a problem to death. Solutions are much harder to come by. People who are actually taking the actions, walking the talk is much harder to come by. So yeah, we'll beat a problem to death. We'll talk and we'll have all types of, citations of studies and all this stuff because, that's what we do. We like to talk about things, but doing things about it, that's another story.
Yeah, that is really interesting. I mean, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had about, my experiences with dating and my own thoughts in it and stuff like that. But when it comes to actually like, oh, so you want to go out Saturday, can I get your number? The conversation stops. And that, and then that person ghosts you. And obviously I'm not the only person who's definitely, gone through that experience that it happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I just had a question for you. This sort of relates to my next question. Is dating nowadays, is it that hard for most people? Is it that like complicated? Most people just don't want to do it. They don't want to bother with it because it's hard.
Yeah, yes and no. I think most people don't want to bother with it because it is difficult. It's one of those things that you can't control. Everything else in our life we can control. Our school, our grades, how much effort we put into, working out, how much effort we put into something. There's a direct correlation to the results with our effort, the effort we put in. That's not the case with dating because there's other people that are involved and have to be as equally motivated and willing to, partner with you in order to make it work. So you can be in all the apps, you can do all the coaching, you can read all the books, you can dress up in all of the fancy clothes, you can go out and smile and be approachable and wear, do everything right and still not get the results that you want because it requires someone else to make that happen. So that's why dating is difficult. I would also say that dating is difficult because at the end of the day, people just are not honest with themselves and they're not honest with others. I think, and I said this to another colleague of mine, I said, dating would be so much simpler if we were just honest. I think we're so afraid of confrontation. We're afraid of letting people down. We are afraid of being mean or being looking a certain way. So we're not honest with each other. We'd rather ghost or bury our head in the sand or ignore problems than actually confront and be honest with other people and say, I just don't think it's a match. I'm not attracted to you. Thanks, but no thanks. Or I'm just not ready. I'm out here just wasting people's time because I haven't figured out my problems yet.
Exactly. Again, and it's just like everything you're saying I've experienced. And I want to say that personally, I am not a dating expert or anything like that. The only thing that I know is from what I've experienced myself, from my own life, and from other people and stuff. But I actually did try and write my own sort of like dating guide, and I published it last summer. I actually sold 2 copies, but I want to say that like everything you're saying is like just it's like second nature to me. It's like just so familiar. And honestly, I just want to say right now, again, guys, right now, don't like put me out to dry, but I'm gonna sound a little bit negative when I say this. But dating is at times it can be very kind of depressing and discouraging, and everything that you're saying about, like not wanting to try because, it's outside of your control. I think that is something that a lot of people don't want to admit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so they try to play it cool and just be like, well, they make it some excuse,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
But yeah. So sorry. So I had a specific question from a specific member.
Mhm.
Let me see. I'll pull it up right here. She has okay, so she has several questions. But her first question, and this definitely pertains to obviously, this whole group, this whole AMBW group. And her question is to you, hopefully you can answer this, is that who are the type of people that should not date interracially?
Oh gosh. That's a very good question. So the type of people who should not date interracially are people who, one, are not allies of the group that they are trying to date.
Mm,
If you date, let's say, I'm a Black woman and I say, yep, I want to start dating Asian men, but I have no understanding of what it's like to be in the Asian community, or understand what's going on in the Asian community, or have any empathy
mhm,
for some of the issues that's going on, especially now, right? Especially now with hate crimes and all the things that's going on after the coronavirus hit. You don't understand that, don't understand it, don't care to understand it, but you want to attract or be with Asian men. That's not going to work, because it's
mhm.
like, it's almost as if you are
Mm,
fetishizing the people that you want to date. It's a not a gimmick. I don't want to use the word gimmick, but it's sort of like, it's a novelty. It's something that you want to do that because it's exciting, or because there's some type of instant gratification, or maybe you feel like, hey, I'm being diverse by dating outside of my race now. So you're not doing it for authentic reasons. You're
mhm.
only doing it because there's a direct benefit to you in some way. So those are the type of people who should not be dating interracially. But then also, if you're just flat out racist,
Yeah.
you believe that you are better than the people that you are dating, and you're doing it as some sort of like, okay, I'm doing you guys a favor, or I'm doing it because there's a stereotype that I believe and I want to take advantage of that stereotype, then those are the type of people that shouldn't be dating interracially. But I would say those people who have an open mind, who look at people as individuals, and not necessarily caring so much about the stereotypes of what it means to date someone in that race, but understanding and being an ally to some of the things that those people are going through, that community is going through. If you're open to that, then maybe it would be great if you were dating people in that community.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Honestly, that is a beautiful and honest answer. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Mhm.
There's a really, let's see, what's another one right here? Okay. So, all right, so yeah, this is a really cool question. So, how big a factor does race play into attraction and overall compatibility?
I would say that perception is reality when it comes to dating. And I think that our communities carry the short end of the stick when it comes
Mm,
to that. When it comes to Black women, society in general, globally, not just the US, feel that we are somehow at the bottom of the list when it comes to attraction, when it comes to partnership, when it comes to being feminine. Uh, we are last on that list. So we are the least desired globally as a group of women. Asian men, on the flip side, the same thing, right? The
mm,
stereotype that um, the manly part of it um, is not there for women. So they're just like, Asian men are on the bottom of the list when it comes to what a woman would be attracted to. So we both kind of share this bottom of the list issue. So people look at us last, or don't look at us at all. We are kind of invisible when it comes to the mainstream. So I mean, it's pretty difficult to get past that. and get over that. Sometimes we have to overcompensate in some ways. I know a lot of women who, wear long weaves and bleach their skin, or, get their bodies augmented or changed in order to look more mainstream, to be more into the center. They start to remove the things that make them ethnic, straighten their nose, or, make get bigger boobs or whatever. And, so, and it may be, I'm not sure how, if Asian men have go through the same things to make them seem more masculine or make them seem more mainstream to be attracted. But, those are some of the things that we have to go through when it comes to just, you know, being considered attractive.
Yeah, again, 100%. Totally, and I just want to thank you again really quickly for keeping it 100% real, because exactly the type of answer that you gave, it's not something that a lot of people like to have in real life. They don't like to talk
Yeah.
about this kind of stuff because for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's negative, or it sounds
Mhm.
negative. It can sound negative. Number two, it is a very honest and very real issue.
Mhm.
And people often like to just literally sweep things under the rug and just put on a smile, go about their
Yeah.
day, and ignore these issues. But it's kind of hard to ignore it when you're literally living in it.
Right,
So,
right. And it's easy to ignore when you're not in it. Like when you're not
yes,
in the community, it's easy to say, "Oh, well, just be yourself. Oh, well, just love yourself." It's just like, ma'am, sir, you're not here, so you would never understand what it's like to be me or be someone in my community. So I would say, kind of let the people who are in the community speak for their community.
okay. Thank you very much. And I know just a couple last questions, and we'll end. I
Mhm.
promise, because I know you got to get back to your life and all stuff. But I want to ask you something that has been on my mind for a while, and a lot of people have sort of brought it up to me recently. And so, this has sort of been a controversial topic, especially on like kind of like online dating profiles, stuff like that. Um, Oftentimes, you might see women or men saying, "Oh, I don't date this type of person. I
Yeah.
don't date this type of man. I don't date this type of woman."
Mhm.
And then they won't call it racist. They'll just say it's a preference.
Yes.
um I just wanted to get your opinion on that. And is it racist? Is it okay to have a preference? When is it okay not to have a preference? All that stuff.
So that is a very nuanced answer. It's a nuanced question,
Mhm,
so it's a very nuanced answer. Um, Preferences are rooted in our subconscious,
mm,
and racism is so embedded. And I can only speak for the U.S. I can't. I mean, I'm sure racism is a global thing, right? So I'm not going to sit here and say it's only a U.S. thing, but because I'm living here, um, I understand it a little bit more. Racism is so embedded in our culture and in the fabric of what America is that it becomes part of our subconscious. So if we grow up thinking that Black people are less than, our preference when it comes to dating, I would let me just take it even further. As basic human beings,
mhm,
when it comes to attraction, we want to attract the best
mhm,
because we want our lineage to survive,
mhm,
right? So when we procreate, we have the best chances for our line to, survive.
mhm,
So we want to go for the best. We want to go for the healthiest, most attractive person because our base thinking is that that's going to make strong babies.
mhm,
And when it comes to our subconscious thinking, if we're saying Black people, Black or Asian people are not the best, that becomes part of our preferences. We prefer the best.
mhm,
And when you think of the best, you think of what? And it depends on what your definition of the best is.
mhm.
So you can be the most attractive, woman, you can be the most attractive man, but if you're just like, but I know I'm not even considering Black people, they're completely invisible to me because they're not the best or they're not attractive to me, then I won't even consider them. So to answer your question, preferences are usually rooted in our subconscious thoughts, and racism has plays a part in that.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess that's sort of, to me. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Yeah, this definitely, there's a lot of things that I thought about and didn't really consider. It's definitely yeah, I don't know. I guess preference is sort of like a double-edged kind of sword. Like it's kind of,
Yeah.
it's kind of, yeah.
Well, see, this is the thing. Like, a lot of men like, I would say older men. Older men prefer younger women.
Mm,
It's not like they can't date women their age, but they prefer it. Why? Because again, it goes back to this whole idea of I want my seed to, have the strongest chance of survival, or it helps them, feel better about themselves, whatever. So sometimes preferences can hold us back, um, but we never really think about those preferences in terms of height and in terms of age and things like that, because everybody kind of has that. But when it comes to race, it only knocks the people, minorities, out of the running. So that's when it becomes a problem.
mm. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, yeah, thank you very much. We're coming to an end here, and again, I want to thank you for, you know, giving us your time, tonight or this afternoon or wherever you are, in the world now, morning,
Yeah.
afternoon, whatever, to talk about these things. I know that, it's been a short time, but, there's so much. I feel like we covered a lot. And for, just for people who are definitely interested in your services and
Mhm.
hearing more from you, where can they find you?
So my website is elisimone.com. You can anywhere, wherever you are in the world, you can reach me via my website. I have a pop-up that says if you want to schedule some time to chat, to learn about our services, or to, look into our services, you can certainly do that. I'm also on Facebook, under my name, Julie Wadley, and on Instagram, Julie O. Wadley.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Well, yeah, guys, to everyone watching out there, Julie is very knowledgeable on this subject. Just, looking her up on her background, she has been married for a while. She definitely knows what she's talking about in this area. And so, but yeah, again, thank you, Julie, so much for coming on our channel. We really appreciate it. This is a brand new channel. We're literally like less than 2 months old, and we're still trying to find our footing here. But I feel like, educating people on these sort of topics, you know what I mean, providing entertainment, yes, but also informing them, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And it will definitely help them, go about their lives in a more educated and, in more informed manner in terms of like dating and matters
yeah,
of the heart and stuff like that. So yeah, again, thank you very much. Everyone, please look her up if you're in need of, advice, or you want to get coaching or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, look her up. She's great.
Well, I did want to say something. I really appreciate your group. I really appreciate that you have a platform for these two communities, because one of the things that I learned is media plays a huge part in what we decide is right, wrong,
Mm,
good, bad, right? So we are now seeing in media, television, film, radio, advertising, more interracial couples, more what we consider to be attractive. We're seeing more Asian men, we're seeing more Asian women, we're seeing more black men and women in positions of, being the lead or being attractive. And so we're seeing more Asian men and black women in film and television and all that being together. So groups like you, who are in the media, who are in social media, promoting this makes it acceptable. It
mm.
wasn't acceptable before because we just never saw it. And so the fact that you have this group, I applaud you, and I hope you continue that this group grows, because I'd like to see, especially our communities, be considered attractive, be
Mhm.
considered, part of, what makes this country great. So thank you so much for, allowing me to come on. I really looking forward to seeing where you go with it.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. It definitely warms my heart to hear that. Thank you very much. All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching the video. And like I said, I will include Julie's contact information and her website information in the video description below. But again, thank you, Julie. And we will, yeah,
All right,
have
thank
a good
you.
night.
All right, you
Night.
too.
Uh,
Bye.
Bye.